Yes, we are.
Welcome to another edition of Lost in the Dark. Today I wanted to bring up something that we've talked about in the past before, time travel. And whether it's possible, whether it's not, we let you guys decide. We have our own opinions of that, but research coming out of the University of West Scotland has theories that may have disproven the possibility of time travel, or at least suggest why time moves in one direction rather than forwards and backwards or in any other way. And I think I was telling you about this the other day. So in physics, what we've been taught throughout from elementary school up to college years, the nuclei of an atom is always pictured as a perfectly symmetrical round object. And that's been an understood and necessary thing for all of our mathematics pertaining to how protons, neutrons, and electrons behave around each other. And it has to do with two types of symmetry, C symmetry and P symmetry. P symmetry is parity symmetry. It's the same thing that describes how your hands can mirror each other. It says that if you take coordinates over here and invert them into like x, y, and z, and invert them into negative x, negative y, and negative z, that they'll still be in the same shape. Still, they'll be a mirror of the previous form. So if you take your left hand and you curl your fingers and make a thumbs up, you take your right hand, curl your fingers and make a thumbs up, they're mirror images of each other.
Alright.
That's parity. You can do the same thing with the nucleus of an atom. If you invert everything to one side or the other, it's going to be a mirror image of each other. Same thing with its charge, C symmetry. If you instantly flip the charges of all of the protons, neutrons, and electrons in an atom, it's still going to behave with the same properties as it did before, because everything else is the same. If you reduce the charge, it'll behave differently, but if the charge is equal but opposite magnitude, everything works out perfectly in physics. The issue now is researchers at the University of West Scotland have found certain atoms' nucleuses that are actually pear-shaped.
I just heard somebody talking about this, actually. Okay.
The pear-shaped nucleus doesn't have the same symmetry as anything else that we know of that describes an atom. What this means for us is, because if you flip the charge on it, it will behave differently because it's not all packed into a perfectly symmetrical ball. The positive and negative charge are displaced proportionally to the size and shape of the atom. The the parity symmetry doesn't work either, because in certain directions you can make a mirror image, but you can't do it in other directions. So, what this has created as a hypothesis is, because of that, time is moving in one direction due to the universe not following the standard, understood laws of symmetry that we once believed them to have. Not only does it exclude time travel, but it also explains why, when the Big Bang started, there were equal parts matter and antimatter. And yet, here we are, almost, 14 billion years later, and we're in a universe entirely surrounded by matter. But where's all the antimatter gone? That lack of symmetry in the nuclei of certain atoms created more matter and directed the flow of time in one direction. New theory, with all of our talks about the television show going back in time to stop the assassination of JFK, and all sorts of other weird time travel phenomenon, I wanted to present that to you. Without that, with time only flowing in one direction,
Okay.
we can't go back in time.
Okay. Why? Maybe explain specifically why the existence of the pear shape though means that time can only be going one direction. Like, I get, why is the symmetry of atoms so important? Break that down in terms of time.
If everything was perfectly symmetrical,
Mm-hmm.
it would allow for time, for the view of time to be more cyclical. We've frequently looked at the universe as fragments in time, where you can look at it from at 14 billion years, at 1 billion years, and things move and change in different ways, but it's all just independent segments of time with no exact flow. We experience the flow of time in one direction.
Mm-hmm.
With perfect symmetry, time is a very loose construct that, because everything behaves symmetrically, you can look at it from any point in time and see it moving in any direction that you want to. Without that symmetry, and specifically talking about the particle that they found, the barium 144's nucleus point, it has something to do with how the charge and distribution of mass affects the movement of its electrons around it and the way that it releases its charges. Because of its shape, it can only take charge and release charges in a certain way that can only be explained moving time in one direction. And they don't go very far into it in the explanation that I've heard. More of it's about the simple existence of a non-symmetrical atom's nuclei.
Yeah, I guess then that's the part I need more explanation on then. Because why so you say we look out and we see like things as fragments, different points in time, and we're looking at it as cyclical. Why do we do that? Like, is that just like I always figured we're looking out and seeing things in terms of how just distance.
That time moving in that direction is just distance, or
No, that's how we see when we look out and we see into the past, into space. That's just all that is. It's not like we're looking at. I never thought anybody was looking at it in the way of like we're looking at it as in segments and stuff like that.
It's, we as humans look out and see distance.
Mm-hmm.
From a mathematical standpoint,
Oh.
time is irrelevant. The only issue with that is when you have a lack of symmetry. From a mathematical standpoint, it drives equations simply because of its non-symmetrical nature. The mathematics of how those atoms behave can only be understood with time moving in one direction. So if you have a graph, for instance, of charge versus time,
Okay.
you can't look at it without having a basis for the start time, a basis for the end time. Most other
In a line.
math, you can segment it out. You can. There's a lot of unique ways to look at time as a force, as not such a straight, narrow path.
Right.
The main issue there is the symmetry in the universe. If everything is symmetrical, we would expect the universe to be much different. We probably wouldn't have existed without these nuclei that don't
Make any sense.
make any sense. Had all of the antimatter destroyed all of the matter.
So does any of this make any? Could it make any determinations about like infinity?
Infinite in terms of the time frame, or infinity in terms of...
Well, here, I saw this fucking thing recently. It was some of my favorite 10 minutes of Joe Rogan stand-up I'd ever seen in my life. And partly what that was because like he was saying things that like I had said a million times but never like turned into a joke like he did, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But basically like one thing that he broke down was infinity, that like infinity is so big that means that everything happening down to every word I'm choosing in this conversation that you and I are both having right now has happened an infinite amount of times out in space over and over and over.
Yes.
Right. So does this pear-shaped thing make any determinations about that?
Not that I've heard, but if we speculate for a moment,
Linear time is the only one that exists.
it the
Yeah.
lack of symmetry, because for something to be infinite, it would have to have some kind of symmetry. The lack of symmetry means that would confine it to a more finite perspective of the universe.
Alright.
Especially if we look at it from the way that it could affect our appreciation of time, moving it forwards rather than backwards or any other way. Yeah, I would say that could affect the infinitum.
It doesn't mean it's not infinite, it just means
But
it's
most
a different kind of infinite, maybe.
most people agree that the universe isn't infinite.
Oh, really?
It's a finite space. We don't know how big it is because our horizon only extends out to 14 billion light years, the age of the cosmic background radiation after the Big Bang. So the universe is much larger than what we can see within it, but we have an estimated mass of the universe based on how things are moving apart, how the universe is expanding, and
Yeah, but this is...
how the different clusters of galaxies are formed.
It's getting skeptical at this point.
Well, it's skeptical.
The hypothesis is based on what we're seeing because of how rudimentary our ability to see out there still is.
And
It's getting better, and every single time it gets better, timetables change. You
And
know what I
since-
mean? And we see new things.
And what, since we've graduated high school
Yeah.
10 years ago, wow, that hurt.
Yep.
Alright, well, that was it. Since we graduated high school 10 years ago, how many different particles have been discovered? We have the Higgs boson particle.
Yep.
The God particle, if you will. You sent me something about the ghost particle.
I was just going to bring that up, yeah.
I've heard about that, but what does that have to do with?
Hold on. Okay, but even to go farther into that point for a second, when we were in elementary school,
Pluto was a planet, first of all.
Well, yeah, and it was taught that it wasn't a normal thing for stars to have planets.
Now
we realize that it is a normal thing.
And the comment about Pluto was a planet is not some joke in a comment. It's to speak to how much more we know about our own solar system.
And
Pluto was classified as a planet because it was one of the largest bodies orbiting the sun that we knew of, outside of the terrestrials and the gas giants. Since then, we've found so many other Pluto-sized and larger bodies orbiting in the
because our ability to see.
orbiting in the outer belt that we were no longer able to classify Pluto as a planet versus just a dwarf planet or satellite. A lot of research points to now that Pluto was actually a massive comet.
Oh, wow.
That used to swing around the solar system much faster than it does today, but after interacting with gravitational pulls from Jupiter, Saturn, the Sun, the terrestrial planets, it's finally rested in its course as it is now.
Wow.
But the orbit of Pluto is so many hundreds of years long that we haven't known about its existence throughout an entire orbit.
Damn.
So we have an approximation based on how it moves now, but
we haven't seen it do a full orbit yet.
No, it has not orbited the sun since the human species, has known that it was out there.
Right. And get this, an article posted yesterday, a dozen new moons have been discovered around Jupiter. A dozen. They just found a dozen new moons. It just goes to the point of finding shit in our own fucking solar system. But the ghost particle, I'll just read this. It's from IFL Science. Gravitational waves have desertedly held the astronomical spotlight for the last 2 years, opening up a new way to see the cosmos. But thanks to a groundbreaking discovery, it might well be time for the humble neutrino to take the stage. That's because for the first time ever, a global team of astronomers have found a source of some of these high-energy particles coming from a distant universe. Neutrinos are hard to spot, and we've never found the source of any at such a distance before. But in two papers in the journal Science, scientists describe how they located a source of neutrinos 4 billion light years from Earth. It's an energetic galaxy known as Blazar, B-L-A-Z-A-R.
Yeah, Blazer.
Called TXS 0506 plus 056.
We'll stuck with Blazer.
Which has a giant spinning supermassive black hole at its core and fires out twin jets of particles. On September 22nd, 2017, the IceCube Observatory at the South Pole detected an incoming high-energy neutrino. This advanced detector has real-time alert system and broadcasted the coordinates of the detection to astronomers around the world just 43 seconds after its discovery. About 20 observatories, including NASA's orbiting Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope, responded to the alert and trained their views on the skies to try to work out where it was coming from. What they found was this blazer energetically flaring and sending out gamma rays. And as luck would have it, it also sent neutrinos in our direction. We were able to detect one.
One neutrino?
Mm-hmm. These results are a remarkable chain of events, said Darren Grant from the University of Alberta, and spokesperson for IceCube, which is I think their name for it's the name for an observatory at the South Pole. Told IFL Science.
It's not the rapper?
No.
Okay.
Taken all together, these results provide an incredibly intriguing picture for the first identified cosmic ray source. Looking through the archives of IceCube's data, scientists found a further dozen events associated with the object in late 2014 and early 15 that helped them confirm that the single high-energy neutrino spotted in 2017 almost certainly came from the blazer. And that's important for a number of reasons. One is it's the first time we've ever found a source of a high-energy neutrino. For another, it's the most distant detection of a neutrino in the universe we've ever made, and it tells us a lot more about cosmic rays. For more than a century, the source of cosmic rays has been a mystery. We know they continuously rain down on Earth. Here we go. Neutrinos, however, act as ghost particles, as they have almost no mass and rarely interact with matter. So neutrinos from Blazer traveled in almost a straight line directly towards Earth, allowing their origins to be worked out.
Very rarely does that ever happen.
Yeah. On two previous occasions, we've detected sources of low-energy particles associated with cosmic rays, namely the Sun and a nearby supernova called SN 1987A. High-energy neutrinos, however, can tell us a whole lot more about how fascinating objects like blazers actually work. Okay, so the neutrinos are the ghost particles.
A neutrino is a subatomic particle with a mass close to zero and half-integral spin. It rarely reacts with matter. What we use on Earth to detect neutrinos, one of the ways to detect them underground.
Is this in the Cosmos TV show?
I believe so.
Where he's underground and it looks like a dialect. Kind of, there's balls and he's sitting in water.
Yep.
Oh,
it's a
dude,
massive, heavy water chamber that has photocells on the outside of it.
Underground.
The neutrinos are normally just pass right through Earth. There could be thousands of them hitting us right now. And in those chambers, thousands of them pass through, but very few actually get detected. What happens is you have one with hardly any mass hit a particle of heavy water, just right, just enough to get a charged response from the actual impact of the two particles, and those are picked up on super sensitive photocells that are lining this chamber. And what you're looking for is one of the smallest particles with hardly any mass. There's hardly a difference between the mass of a neutrino and the mass of a photon pairing that forms a molecule. And the thousands and thousands of neutrinos that pass through that heavy water, you'll get one that might bump into a particle of heavy water to trigger it. This high energy neutrino coming from another galaxy is phenomenal because the chances they're shot out from massive cosmic events, generally in straight lines, and to be on the receiving end of that line, you have to be in the right spot at the right time. For a supermassive black hole, that spot, you're probably looking at like a cone radius that goes out, but then that also means that they disperse as they go out from the origin point. Still, with that being said, you have to look for an object that's pointed in your direction, that you would be within a certain angle or certain degree area from where it's pointed at, that just happens to be shooting out enough neutrinos to go through your detection system to just pick up one. And that's the ghost particle. It's the ghost particle because we didn't know about it for so long. And then scientists theorized that this might actually exist based on mathematics. They're missing mass and energy from certain equations, and they can't figure out where this tiny amount of mass and energy is going. And they say, well, there has to be another particle. So they've come up with a way to search for it. What's the best way to find something with no mass? Well, let's put it through a super dense collection of mass and hope that it runs into something. Sorry, we have a dragon in the studio.
Yes. Damn, I didn't realize that the ghost particle, though, was like the thing that the neutrinos that they were detecting at the thing in the show. That's
You thought that there was a particle that proved the existence of ghosts?
No, I didn't think that either, but...
Real quick, I'm going to throw in my 2 cents about 2 TV shows that I think you should watch.
All right.
One I know that you have.
All
Ghosted.
All right. Yeah, I've seen Ghosted.
One of the main characters in that. The guy from Parks and Recreation, the husband there.
And Craig Robinson from Pineapple Express and The Office.
Judy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he was in that, too.
No, he's the best character in that entire television show.
Hell yeah. No, he's fucking awesome.
So you have that show. It's fantastic. It's about It's about a section of the government that investigates supernatural occurrences. Season 1, the first few episodes in this season, I think we're only in season 1 right now. The first few episodes in it are fantastic. We're getting towards the end of the season. It's kind of drying out. But I'm still paying attention to it. I'm voting for it, and if you haven't gotten caught up with it, you should continue to watch it.
I will.
The second, and I don't know how you'll feel about... It's weird. You're a huge fan of Doctor Who.
Oh my god, I'm rewatching it right now.
It is Doctor Who.
I like things that are Doctor Who but aren't Doctor Who. That's what I say about Fantastic Beasts. If you were to replace the word wand and wizard with screwdriver and Time Lord...
If you take out the magic, you have Doctor Who.
Yeah.
The Librarians. Have you heard of this?
Is it an older show? It's not on anymore?
It has 4 seasons on Netflix. I think, what is it, TNT or something like that?
Yes.
You've seen that? It's about...
Yes. There's something more...
Underneath some public library exists this magical library for the librarian who coordinates and assists in all sorts of these magical phenomenons and preventing them from destroying the world.
I think what that is it like started as a made-for-TV movie. I think there's a made-for-TV movie of that I watched, and then it got popular enough to where it got its own show or something like that.
That would explain why what should be the main character, the librarian, appears in maybe half, probably less, probably like a quarter to a third of all of the episodes. It mainly focuses on his guardian, this badass blonde chick that is hired in to protect the librarian.
Right.
He doesn't believe in magic, the whole spiel of being introduced into the secret government, non-government agency thing.
Yeah.
I'm halfway into season 2. It's, from all of the Doctor Who that I've watched, it's very on par with the same kind of morals to the story, very similar action, very similar villain kind of quests they go on, and a very similar dynamic from the perspective of looking at the Doctor and his companions from the librarian to his guardian.
Alright.
It's definitely worth checking out, especially if you keep that in mind. They do reference Doctor Who a lot, like the TARDIS and things, especially when they're talking about this library that magically fits into a basement underneath another library, but it's infinitely huge.
Wait, so the library
is a TARDIS.
Is, well, bigger on the inside is Time Lord technology.
Yes.
Just like in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Him in his suitcase.
And guess what they do? Travel through time.
Okay, so yeah, they're Time Lords.
Yeah.
They got a piece of Time Lord tech that fell to the earth from the Doctor, and that's how they work.
You could probably argue that connection, especially after they reference the TARDIS and bigger on the inside sort of deal within the show itself.
Hell yeah.
And don't explain it. They just call it magic.
Well, there you go. No, yeah, I'm rewatching that right now because I think within the next 2 days here we'll get the first real full-length trailer for the next season. And there was like a minute-long episode, or a minute-long clip that leaked last week, a couple weeks ago. And so it was the first time seeing the new Doctor. And it was like, it literally was just a few lines, but like all I saw in those lines was the Doctor. You know what I mean? Which just made me go, all right, yes. Because I haven't had that since like Matt Smith's last season. Like Matt Smith's last season, I did not like at all.
Was he the Fez-wearing Doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He, like, to me, the show was 2005 up until Matt Smith's second season. And then it had a big fall off and was just plummeting ever since. And hopefully now it comes back. We'll see.
David Tennant was in something super cool recently. I can't remember what it was.
His co-star in the show Broadchurch. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
A little bit after he left Doctor Who, he's on another show called Broadchurch. And his co-star on there is the new Doctor and the first ever female Doctor. So she actually worked with David Tennant, and because everything's new. New writers, new showrunner, new director. Everybody that has been doing it for the last 13 years is gone. New people are all in. And the new guy is like, I want the next Doctor to be more of a David Tennant-y style.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be cool. Honestly, everything that show is comes down to the writing. That's all that show is the stories have to be good. If the stories are there, everything else seems to fall into place. But if it's not, if it's just like a series of like weird one-off standalone episodes with no like underlying story or anything like that, then it's just, I don't know. It loses its luster for me.
I'm going to piss off a lot of people right now, but we're trying to watch Community, and it's just not there for me.
Yeah, I've caught some episodes, and it's like kind of funny, but
it passes the
There's
time.
a Doctor Who episode of that I saw that was good, where they talk about Doctor Who a lot.
Well, that's the thing with the show. There are certain episodes that appeal to certain people, but the whole show, as a whole, is just meh.
Flat.
Yeah. It passes the time. I've never hated an episode and wanted to turn it off.
Well, that's saying something.
Yeah. But it's not 30 Rock, where you're just sitting there glued. It's 11:30 at night and you need to wake up for work at 5 in the morning. And well, just one more episode? Yeah, well, sure, why not?
Let's see here. Apparently, a survey in the UK said that 40% of people's first memory, quote-unquote, is a false memory. Latest research suggests that we do not start forming long-term memories until we are 3.5 years old. Scientists refer to this as childhood amnesia.
Then why is my 1.5-year-old memory accurate?
Yeah, I don't think... I think we have a very rudimentary understanding of memory and the way it works and all those sort of things.
Memories are what you make of them, in essence, and most of your memory is made up. The more that you remember something, and especially the more that you remember something wrong, the stronger that memory becomes.
Right.
Because you're building pathways within your brain to create the memories.
But does that mean at any point that the original pathways are ever completely gone?
I don't think that the original pathways are ever completely gone.
So then they're still accessible. Potentially. Theoretically.
Yes, but it all depends on what your brain picks up on. For instance, my driving test, one of my driving tests, when we were trying to get our licenses,
Sure.
they do the whole method of telling you not to look at your side, not to look at your mirrors, and tell the instructor what color car is behind you. I couldn't tell him what color it was. It was red, I think. That's what I remember now. But to be honest, I've made up that color in my mind. I remember it as a red Jeep Wrangler. And I could tell the instructor there's a Jeep Wrangler behind us. It has, and I told him that it has this blah blah blah, and it's probably this year. But I couldn't remember what color it was.
Is that an issue with memory, or is that an issue with recall?
What's the difference between memory and recall?
I think there's a difference because human beings have
Long-term
the
and
ability,
short-term?
that and, you know, the ability to suppress things to the point where we have no memory of them until something triggers it or something.
So would you say that's recall?
I don't know. That's what I'm
I
asking.
think it all boils down to different forms of memory. That's a form of short-term memory, where I had looked at it, and my mind took in things about the vehicle that were important to me. It's a Jeep, it's a larger vehicle, it has a longer stopping distance. That means that if I slam on my brakes, they're probably going to rear-end me. If it had been a smaller car behind me, and I slam on my brakes, their stopping time, as long as they react quickly enough, should be enough to allow them to stop behind me as well. The color of the vehicle did not matter to me, so I didn't take that in. Now, what? 12 years later, 13 years later, whatever it is, 14 years later, oh Jesus. Now, 14 years later, I remember a red Jeep behind me. But can I tell you if that memory of the Jeep being red is real? Or did I put a color into my mind because I've seen a lot of red Jeeps? Another example of that is me and my mom were in a car accident when I was pretty young.
You told me about this.
I swear to God, it was foggy out. I remember the fog. I remember seeing the truck pull out through the fog, hitting us, and I remember swirling around into the ditch, hitting a bush, and getting out and talking to the police as a little kid, and it was foggy. My mom says that there was no fog, it was a clear day, it was dusk. I knew that I couldn't see much.
Well, what if...
And my brain put in the information to make that part of it make sense. That's what memories are. You remember the important details of something, but not all the specifics. You remember what matters to you at that time, and the more that you think about it, and the more that, because I've thought about that so much, I can only remember that with fog. But my first memory ever, I was about 1 year, 3 months, 1 year, 6 months, somewhere in there, and my great-great-uncle, he was the last surviving member of what would have been the generation of my great-grandparents. So not my grandfather's brother, but my grandfather's father's brother. Came to my mom's house as I sat standing on the north side of the room, facing what used to be the peach chair there, and a lampstand over next to it, and he walked from the entry to the living room across the room with 2 other people there plus my mom, and put his hand on the TV, and I don't know what he was saying because I was 1, but made some remarks, and I remember the image of him very clearly, and I remember his body movement very clearly. And I've asked my mom and family members about this happening and their recollection of it, and there's no video of this, there's no photo of it, and out of the blue, in my teen years, with this never being brought up, I
popped in there?
I had remembered for years, but never thought that it was important to talk to anyone about. Like, it's just a memory of someone that came over.
Right.
And I started explaining it, that I remember this from when I was super young, about how old was I and who was that person that was here. Mom was like, I can't believe you remember that. That was this person at this time.
You were 1.5 years old.
And I was 1.5 years old.
Damn.
Don't remember shit in between there and like yesterday, but...
It's just a random thing that stuck for some reason.
Or is it a fake memory? According to researchers in, where is it, the UK?
It said 40%. That means 60% of people's first memory was accurate.
That's a misleading way to say that statistic.
Right?
60% of people's first memories are spot on, dead accurate. The memories that you have of being 1 year old and remembering something specifically, that's true. 60% of the time. God, fuck.
No, what they said. No, the title of the article was fucking your first memory is probably a lie or something like that.
This is
But
all.
no, odds are actually it's the truth.
This is all about, and for anyone listening to this, this is why you have to look closely at the research and the way in which things are said that's being fed to you, because a lot of information can be phrased in certain ways to make it sound a lot different, to give it the right idea. You could say,
Fucked up.
oh God, 45% of everyone that gets married, of all millennials that get married, get divorced within the first year. Yeah, but that means that a majority of most people, you have a better chance of getting married and not getting a divorce in the first year than you do of actually having that divorce.
Right? Yeah. There's a lot like that. I saw one on the news earlier that pissed me off. It was something about ADHD or some bullshit. I don't know.
Support for Trump swells to new highs.
38%. Wait.
Exactly. Speaking of Trump,
Oh, no.
did you hear about his recent, what do you call it, meeting, summit, wasn't quite a debate, with, Putin?
No.
Oh, yeah, he, stabbed America in the back and sold us out.
Oh, my God.
And decided to side with, Russia on basically anything that he said. So they met to talk about a number of different things. And I saw this on saw them talking about it on the new Daily Show with Trevor Noah. And essentially, Trump went into a meeting with him, and it came up, or was talked about Russia's involvement in influencing our election. And Putin said that they didn't do that. So Trump came out and they addressed our nation together. And he was asked about it and said, well, he said that he didn't do it, so I believe him. And he offered to let his people come over and help our people who are investigating it. So that's a pretty nice thing to do. Why would he do that if he didn't?
Right. I heard that Comey, isn't that the guy could like indict Trump and his whole campaign? It's investigating him and whatever. I heard that he just made a request for 100 indictments.
100 different indictments?
Yeah, for 100 different people. For 100 different people, potentially.
Shit. Go Cody.
Yeah. I don't know.
He also...
I'm way more... honestly, lately, in terms of all that shit, I've been way more focused on local politics.
He also was asked if there's anything he, as a president, held Russia accountable for, specifically pertaining to actions that they've taken against us in the past few decades, and issues that we've had between our two countries, because we've been at odds with what during World War I was technically our ally, for decades and for our parents' entire lives.
Yeah, so it's been like less than 100 years we've been having these issues.
How old is my mom? Almost 100 years.
Oh
We're
my
getting
God, I was
closer.
going to say not 100.
So, yeah, we've been at odds for a long time. And Trump's response to that, so he said no, first of all.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
we both hold a lot. We both need to be accountable for our fair shares, and I don't hold them accountable.
Yeah. Well, things he say oftentimes don't make a lot of sense. So.
I think that he knows that his time in the U.S. is going to be limited.
He was probably like, guys, I don't want to get killed while I'm the fuck over here, so I'm going to say what these people told me now.
No, he probably realizes, to some extent, that the presidency ends at a point in time. whether it's 2020, whether he makes it all the way to 2024.
It has an expiration date no matter what.
It has an expiration date no matter what, and he's going to need some friends when it gets out.
Mm-hmm.
And what's a better way to spend the rest of your life than as the best friend of the president of an entire country who doesn't have an expiration date because he can set it wherever he wants.
So you're saying like people like Dennis Rodman are like the smartest people in the world?
Yeah. Like if you could just become buddy-buddy with Putin, like he doesn't like.
I don't know if I want that buddy.
Politically speaking, yeah, I get it.
Like what if like you're busy and he calls and you dodge his call?
Make some time.
And then you get a message like, I know you'll dodge my call. It's a terrible accent, but
make some fucking time.
He's like, I know what you're doing. I'm watching you.
That is a terrible accent.
But you get my point. That's not the kind of friend I want.
It's not a bad friend to have.
Might be.
As long as you're not.
I guess it just depends on how willing to play ball you are.
I mean, I feel like he's a pretty busy guy himself. I don't think he's going to be the one, like, hey, Beach, what's up? What you doing tonight? It's probably going to be more like formal invitation to things, and then he sees you at the thing and is like, yeah, yes, but my friend.
You know he's, come on. Every guy has a buddy that's, hey, coming over? Yeah, come on.
Okay, well, would you rather your buddy be Trump or Putin?
Neither.
No, one or the other.
No. Why? What?
Those are the choices.
This is not a good...
That's your new best friend.
This
is
not
either
a good
Trump...
what if. I don't like these options.
This is a what if.
No.
You don't get to choose the options of the what if. That's generally the objective of the what if.
So I guess if I have to boil it down to simplest terms, I'm best friends with the president of Russia or the president of the United States.
Temporary.
Yeah. Well, Russia's fucking cold, so fuck that.
They have a beautiful country.
It's not warm enough, though. They need to get some heaters in there.
You'll come summertime. It's very nice.
Fine, but what about the rest of the time?
Don't come.
Don't come. You will be eaten by polar bear. Like, that's something they have to worry about there. I'm not interested in that.
In Russia, everything can fuck you up.
Yeah.
If you don't get murdered by literally one of their people there, which is... So, let's talk about weddings for a second.
Oh.
Hear me out. Gabby sent me links to...
Gabby, your fiance.
My fiance sent me links to this elopement setting for weddings out in the desert in outside of Las Vegas because her family mentioned, well, why don't we all just go to Las Vegas? It can be a smaller, close friends and family kind of get together.
Las Vegas? That seems so random.
Her mom and her stepdad work for casinos. Her grandma, who just passed away, retired to be a gambler. I mean, essentially. Lots of old people do that. In retirement, they don't have as much to do. What do you do? Especially when your daughter works at the casino that's 20 minutes from your house.
Gamble.
Fucking gamble. She made good money doing that. So her family's very familiar with the casino environment, and Las Vegas is a wedding destination.
Yeah, for drunk men and prostitutes.
So we're moving in the right direction. And,
anyway.
The moral of the story is she showed me these pictures, and I was looking through them, and something caught my eye in the back of one, and I zoomed in, and there's a fucking snake. There's a fucking snake in the bush, in the back of the picture. And I said, no, we're not going here. We're a bunch of dirty-ass poisonous spiders, scorpions, snakes, bugs can just get in and tear us up. I want to live through my wedding.
Yeah. Taking death-defying risks during a wedding is never advised. You don't want to be out in the wild somewhere. You don't want to be... There was just really actually a horrible story of a couple that smashed into each other right after they got married ziplining and died. Like in the fucking South America or some shit.
That's not funny, but I do want to hear more about that.
It is horrible. But yeah, like one of them, like the thing got stuck and the other one was coming already, so. Yep. Fucked.
The thing got stuck and he was already heading down.
I don't know which one. I know the guy died.
There's no break!
And the female is like all fucked up and in a coma or something like that.
Oh, so...
I don't know who was...
Were they American?
I think.
Oh, damn.
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea.
There's hope.
But yeah, so, you know, doing things like that, being... Like, I don't want to get bit. But, like, you're standing there, I do. Like that rattle. You start hearing the rattle from the snake as you're reading your fucking vows. You start like getting a little extra sweaty. Like, do I keep reading? What?
But this is also coming from the girl.
Nobody else is doing anything.
For her study abroad, spent months out in.
It gets the fucking priest.
Spent months out in Australia for her study abroad, so she's.
Yeah, but was she in the bush?
You don't need to be in the bush in Australia to see some fucked up shit.
No, you don't, but that's where the realest shit is. Yeah. That's where you're gonna die in 24 hours, probably.
Look up the video of the giant fucking spider in the guy's car. He's literally driving down the freeway in the city, and the sun's bothering his eyes, flips down his visor,
oh, God.
and there's a spider with the legs that can stretch out from shoulder to hip.
On a body? On a male torso?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Flips down the visor. I don't know how you didn't see the legs up there.
Yeah, the visor's not that big on a car.
Well, it's...
But there is a spider in Australia that's called the, I want to say it's like the crab spider or something like that.
Yeah, they're fucking huge.
Oh, yeah, they get absolutely gigantic, but they are like the most docile. They don't fucking fuck with you. They don't do anything.
Daddy long-legs. They're just...
There's a lady that has a pet, not a pet one, but there's one that like lives on her farm and she fucking pets it. So it's not her pet, but she pets it.
Doesn't matter if they're poisonous or not.
I wouldn't ever go near it.
If you're driving down the highway and you flip down your visor,
I'm crashing.
There's a
giant
spider.
Car's done. Car's done on fire. I'm diving out.
Doesn't matter if this is an
exaggeration. It's over.
Shoulder and hip is an exaggeration. This fucker's big. It's fucking huger than any spider that you're going to see in the state of fucking Michigan.
Yeah.
And I've freaked out over spiders that are smaller than a penny.
I mean, you and I saw, like, literally, we saw a bug once where neither of us thought it was a bug, and I literally said, if that thing is a bug and alive, we need to call the government or something, because something fucking terrible is happening. Like... I can't. I think about that even today.
Have you seen anything that big since?
Not since then. No, that's the only time. And I got some pretty sizable spiders here in the basement, and I just kill them all.
For the
They're
record,
not that big.
I was the one that saw it.
Well, we both saw it. It was right in front of us.
Who saw it first, though? It was on the windshield.
No, it wasn't.
No, we couldn't tell where it was. It was on the wall.
No, we knew it was on the wall, but we couldn't tell if it was a bug or just someone drew a line.
It was a praying mantis.
And we were looking at it straight on from, like, it was on a vertical wall in front of us. So we were basically sort of like, if it was horizontal, we'd have a bird's eye view, but it was vertical, you know? So we were looking at it straight on the wall.
Well, we also thought it could have been a stick, just...
Yeah. Well, like, so we're in a parking garage in downtown Lansing, and we were, in the car, we were in a parking spot, we were eating lunch or something, and on the wall was, like, you know how in parking garages, on the wall they paint the number of the level you're on?
Yeah, we weren't eating lunch.
We were on level 4, because right in front of us was a big painted 4, and then right next to the right side straight line of the 4 was just this other straight line that was the same exact length as the 4. So, you know, I don't know how big that is, but at least 2.5 to 3 feet. And we're just sitting in the car, and I was like, I think I said, one of us said, what is that? And I was like, and we went back and forth. We were like, no, it's not a bug. It can't be a bug. That's impossible. There's nothing that big. We kept being like, are those legs? Like... We kept thinking we saw, like, maybe some legs or something.
So, didn't I get out of the car?
We both did. We had to go to class or something.
Yeah, but to invest in because we had some time to kill.
Yeah.
I got out of the car, but it wasn't just that one time. Because after that, we were in the same parking garage, and we found one
It was later that day.
On one of the...
Right above our head.
banister
It was
on
like
one of the pillars going across the beam there.
It was like a ledge above us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
And there's another one just sitting there.
So there were at least 2 in the garage that were. I'm talking now. Apparently, praying mantises can get that long.
Yeah, but they can't. They're not gonna hurt you.
Absolutely not. No, they're awesome.
But being unaware of
I didn't know they could get that big, especially
size
here.
that praying manti should be.
I've never seen one that big ever, let alone here. I've never seen an insect that large.
I was terrified.
In my life, in person, in the wild. It was insane.
Yeah, but it's not a fucking spider.
No.
And that's my argument about having a wedding in the desert.
No, I'm with you on that. Don't have a fucking wedding. That seems foolish.
You invite family and friends, and suddenly half of your guest list dies.
Yeah, from the freak rattlesnake attack, where the first time ever in recorded history, 20 rattlesnakes organized an attack and descended on a wedding. That's what happened.
I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but it could.
Want to know something kind of crazy?
What?
So my sister's plane got delayed, but tomorrow I think she'll be flying to Africa.
Yeah.
Which means from Thursday to Saturday, me and my 2 sisters will be all on different continents. Because Grace is in England, I'm here, and Katie will be in Africa.
I heard it's supposed to rain there.
Down in Africa?
Yeah. That's right where it's gonna rain.
Yeah. I just think that's kind of crazy. But yeah, no, definitely, I mean, if you did like a destination wedding, I would not pick the desert, yeah.
No, we would go to Canada.
I wouldn't do that either.
Worst things there are bears. At least you can see them coming.
Not always. Not always.
You can smell them. Bears smell. They have a very particular scent. It's almost like a musk.
Right. But yeah, okay.
Where, look, if you walked into somebody's house and you went, that's a ferret.
Okay.
You know that smell.
But
you can smell a bear.
If you're
upwind,
if you're standing outside and you are 200 feet from your vehicle and you start to smell that smell, and there is an animal in full tilt running at you, it will get you before you get to your car.
No, I'm faster than Gabby.
It might keep going, bro.
She has more meat.
Play dead.
She has more meat.
Wow. So you'd sacrifice your fiancé to the bear?
No, I would not sacrifice her. But we would probably both run, and I know who's going to win that race.
Jesus Christ.
I'd go back after a while.
My point is still the same. If you're out there alone, like it doesn't. I'm not risking bear attack. Like that's.
I wouldn't go out there alone.
That's the thing.
That's the first mistake. Always take a friend that's slower than you.
Oh wow. You're a bad person.
I'm a bad person, a smart one. I was in the Boy Scouts, so I always go prepared.
Oh my God. We're going camping? Alright. Call my fat friend. So any other fucking updates on the wedding though?
No. We've been doing a lot of planning, and we've realized that spending $80 per person for a bunch of people that we don't really like is kind of pointless. Not that we don't like you.
Or people.
But it's
I feel
it's
like
just
there's
hard.
a way to do it better and cheaper.
It's hard because you're sitting there and it's become this thing where you're expected to spend $20,000-$30,000 minimum just to have a wedding, just to celebrate the love that you share for one another and commit yourselves to each other. And neither one of us are that religious. Obviously, I'm not. I'd leave her for a bear.
Oh my God.
Not leave her for a bear, but like if a bear was
But
chasing
that's what
us.
you said. You just said I'd leave her for a bear.
Depends on how good looking it was.
Oh my God.
But it's just rough. Like, we don't want to spend that much money just to have this party. So we're trying to balance everyone dreams of having this nice wedding, but no one ever wants to sit down and think about how much money do you actually want to put into it. We could buy her a new car. I could buy myself a Jeep. We could go on a fantastic month-long honeymoon.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
And we could just have like a much smaller get-together.
Yeah.
But you also want to balance the tacky, what people do. Like, we've been to some tacky wedding reception sort of things where it's so informal and yet you can tell that they really want to have like a nice wedding. It's hard to get that right mix where you can have a wedding and yet not spend that much money on it. There's no real in between there. You're either having kind of a crappy wedding or you're spending an assload and for one day that you two are going to be so overwhelmed with the number of people there and the things that you have to do and the stuff that you have to get organized for, that it's really hard to enjoy. Everyone that I've talked to has said about the same thing. It's a fantastic day, but it's really not for you, it's for everyone else.
Yeah.
And in that case, I think we should sell tickets.
No. But I do get it. I mean, yeah, I don't see any reason why you gotta spend a whole bunch of fucking money. I mean...
Well, you didn't go to Sarah and Jeff, our friends. You didn't go to their wedding.
No.
Super small. They got married. It was them and their families, like immediate families. And then they went back to their house, or one of their parents' houses, and had like a small get-together.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, I don't think Jeff even had any friends there. And then we went there. It was there with her family and everything. And then we went out to a bar afterwards, that was the most effective way that I've seen that kind of informal wedding reception gathering go. Where it's just, all right, we want to get married. We're going to have a semi-traditional, like, ceremony. Don't come to that because, like, you're my friend and I care about you and I don't want to bore the fuck out of you anyway. Just come over, hang out, and let's party later. And that's what they did.
Yeah.
That worked.
I think you can do a little bit better than that, but same kind
Well,
of
yeah,
thing,
we
yeah.
both have friends, so it'll obviously be better. The difference there is...
And you don't have to go, like, you can still, like, go get married
friends.
and then have somewhere else to go that isn't just someone's house and still have it not... You can rent a room for not that much. It's just a medium-sized banquet room or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, but then you talk about catering and...
What can you just get some barbecue? Good, done.
And then how do you serve it?
Hot
That's what you get into. You get into...
Yeah, but this is just a couple $100.
All these places that you rent cost X amount of money. If you want to decorate it in any way, it costs this amount of money. And then you start talking about food. Well, then how many people are you actually inviting to this? If you have someone
Not
that you
that
know cook it, it's one thing, but then you're serving it, and then that's where it gets into this kind of tacky thing. I liked the way that Sarah and Jeff did their wedding because it was just the right amount of informal where it was like a high school open house, a high school graduation open house. You were welcome to come, you were welcome to stay, you could leave if you want to. No one really gave a fuck. Less pressure, less food.
That's the thing is, because what if it's a shitty day and it's raining?
That's the benefit of renting a room.
Yeah.
But
or what if it's amazingly hot outside?
So let's say to get a large room, like a banquet style room like that.
No, you don't need large. If you're not inviting a lot of people, go small. Just find a small little fucking room somewhere. Maybe even a fucking room in a restaurant, a bar, cool restaurant, or some shit.
That's a fair idea, and their wedding plans would have worked for that. They had a tent. If it started to rain, our plan was to just go to a bar.
Yeah.
But renting a room like that, like Gables, $200 to rent the room, but then they expect you to spend money, and you're going to spend that money on alcohol, and it's rude to throw a party that you're not covering. You can't rent a room and invite people. Then you have the cost of the open bar. We were looking at Hawk Hollow, Eagle Eye golf courses. Renting rooms up there, you're spending like $1,800.
Damn.
Just to have the room.
That's fucking crazy.
Just to have the room. The chapel, $1,200.
Oh my god. Oh, fuck that. Like, don't get married.
And we don't have food.
We don't have food yet.
There's no food. I think the lowest amount that we've come up with is $10,000 to have a semi-traditional wedding, invite people, have a reception, and everything.
That's insane. That's insane. The wedding and funeral business is a big business. Fucked up.
You can get into that.
Yeah, there's a lot of money there.
There's a huge pile of money there. But that's why I work for a Ford dealership, because there's a lot of money in fixing cars.
Yeah, there's just a big-ass recall that got announced today.
Found on Road Dead is a very accurate description of most Ford vehicles.
You want to wrap this up?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Fucking real quick. Yeah. Next up, we got fucking... well, I think on the next episode, there'll be the review of the... Hopefully the fucking... All the Devil Driver shit. Still haven't gotten that fucking pre-order, which is annoying as fuck, but waiting on that. And one last thought, since you brought up some things to watch. Today, as sitting here recording this at around 9 at night on Wednesday, July 18th, today the first tiny little 40-second snippet of Godzilla 2 King of Monsters got released. I'm expecting a full trailer in the next 48 hours because that's when San Diego Comic-Con will be taking place over the whole next weekend, but the trailer will probably drop, if not tomorrow, the next day. And holy shit, guys, like... Oh, Millie Bobby Brown is featured in the little teaser 11 from Stranger Things. She, it's awesome. She calls out from Monarch, and the response that she gets is like a bunch of monster sounds, and oh man, it just makes your hair stand up. So I just wanted to mention that coming soon, and I will be doing a fucking reaction video to that shit. First ever Lost in the Dark reaction video will be to Godzilla. So, fuck yeah, just wanted to mention that. Also, don't forget to check out the Amazon. Search Lost in the Dark podcast on Amazon. You will find t-shirts there with our logo on it, a couple different versions of our logo, a whole bunch of different color options. One of the t-shirts even has the lyrics to the song Lost in the Dark on the back, which hopefully we will finish up recording soon so you guys can finally hear that. Don't forget to click like, click subscribe. Don't forget to follow us also on Instagram and Facebook, especially Instagram. That's where we're most active. Post a lot of concert videos and stuff like that. So, yeah, check us out, and we will be back later this week. Love you all. Good night.